Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Boxing Shop. Your usual crew here. Me, King Felix G, Ray, what's going on? And we got Dakota back in the building. What's up, Dakota?
What's good, my guy? Dude, I love when we have comments before we even go live.
Yeah, I know. It. Hey, and I agree, too. Delgado definitely did some serious work over the past weekend, too. That was impressive.
Ray, talk about Lindolfo for a little bit.
Yeah, bro. Go ahead, Ray.
I think he's, like I told you, I think he's the most underrated fighter out there. And I don't know why. I don't know, because he had went from PBC, it went then to Top Rank. And it's not like he hasn't been impressive every time out, basically. So, with the change in promoters and still, he was on, but not really showcased. It's like, man, what? Something else going on? Because this guy, to me, seems like the real deal. Even, his pedigree, right? I think early in his, life, his family had sent him to Cuba to learn the Cuban boxing style.
You can see it.
And then he's got, I think it's overused term, whatever it even means, but Mexican style, the body punching and that. So he's kind of has everything. And I'm like, why is this guy slept on? Or am I missing something, But I think he's the real deal.
He kind of reminds me of Robesi, bro, because he's very aggressive, very, methodical, but he's kind of moving forward and his defense is really good. He's a problem, bro. But I think he's having some of that kind of like Arnold Barboza problem where he's just like really good, but it's not like crazy flashy. You know what I mean? And he doesn't say crazy shit on an interview, but like he's good enough, man. We're like he's a main event fighter, bro. He's not fourth before main to me.
Yeah, and like I said, the pedigree, like he was a Mexican Olympian. He kind of checks all the boxes, except maybe it is that maybe it's the outside. Maybe he lacks the talking game or whatever, but like. In the ring, maybe he's not the most flashy, but bro, that punch, that left uppercut that he caught dude with this past weekend, like you just hear that, right? Like we've talked about, some fighters just sound different. I don't know what the hold up is, if there is a hold up or what, but man, to me, he seems like he's a player at 140.
There's a lot of guys at that weight too that are super talented that like are having a hard time getting fights. Like I feel like him and Barbosa is the fight because that's literally two guys who seem like they're in the same position but they just can't get fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if it's maybe even the gym he's at where because he's really not even the main guy at Garcia Boxing Academy, right? Because prior you kind of had Jose Ramirez, who was a champ. You had Mikey, kind of all in that same weight class. So skills-wise, it's there. But yes, I feel like something's holding him back, or he just needs an opportunity. And man, I think he's, like I said, I'll say it again. I think he's the real deal.
Yeah, that highlight reel he had over the weekend was without a doubt the real deal. I mean, the headline of the show, it says Efe Ajagba, Muratalla, Delgado, who wins the weekend. I want to just go out on a limb and we're going to start off with Delgado. I'm going to go ahead and say 1-3. I was the most impressed with his performance. I don't know about you guys.
Nah, for sure. I mean, I think Efe was great, but I think with Lindolfo, there's a level of fluidity to what he does, and he really doesn't get hit a lot. So I feel like his style is going to hold up against really any style. And I think that he's, the kind of foot pressure he's putting on, he's going to give guys problems, bro.
Yeah. And we've kind of seen him against the different styles already. I think not too long ago, he fought Aguilar, and I think that was his name. It was like an 8-round fight, but the dude had perfect record with perfect knockouts. I kind of felt like Lindolfo was the B-side almost, and Lindolfo weathered that, right? And that was just all pressure, power.
Aggressive.
What's that?
This guy was very aggressive as well.
Yeah, and he's kind of shown, and like you said, it's you can see the skills there, right? Like he's barely out of reach, just a little boom, he's not there anymore, and then he's punching off of that. If we get a weekend winner, man, I think he's there, and I'm willing to say he might be my prospect of the year because I think he's ready for I would even say he's ready for like a Prograis, right? And Prograis the guy. So we'll see where it goes, man. I just hope he continues to move. Like it threw me off when he went from PBC to Top Rank, but I just hope he's moving forward, man, and he gets an opportunity.
There's so many guys, bro. Like it could be Catterall, it could be the winner of Ergashev and Subriel Matias. There's just so many good fighters at that weight, bro. I would hate to see him just like kind of stay making like lateral move fights.
But it's crazy, right? Because whoever he fights, I feel like he hasn't really got that prospect push, right? Where they're like, this is the guy. I feel like he's going to come in on a B-side, right? Like they're going to say, oh, look, he's fighting Lindolfo Delgado and show his record and really not expected to win. But I think he beats a lot of those guys.
Jesus Delgado versus Lipinets. I like that fight. That's a great fight.
I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think the other guy for me that obviously really stood out other than Efe, which we're going to talk about him, is Raymond Muratalla. I mean, I really like this fucking guy, man. He's a problem.
Solid, man. He
a lot of the same attributes as Delgado as well.
He's
bro, imagine them. They're in that same gym, bro. Imagine the work they're giving each other. Right, like that's got to be. I mean, that's crazy, right? Like they're not fighting harder fights than what they got in the gym daily, right? I don't know if they work together. I'm assuming they work together, but like just being around each other and man, those, Muratalla, he looked great. Another, right? Like he could box. He showed that. You see the skills there, and then boom, just the combinations and the power as well. At 35, we've kind of said, and Shakur, he's got a fight coming up. I think if you have to look at guys, it gets a small list of guys who you would think are competitive against Shakur, and he's on top of that list.
You put him there already.
No, I'm saying, I guess. Because I always say, man, I don't see anybody beating Shakur. Like, don't even mention any names. But if we have to mention a name, we're like, oh, maybe someone could give him problems or whatever. I think he's on the short list for sure.
Hey, make sure you guys press them like buttons and subscribe, turn on the bell notification, all of that. Appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. Let's keep this show moving tonight. We don't got a lot of topics, so your guys' comments are going to keep us rolling.
They always keep us rolling. Michelle Johnson, LeBron caught my eye that night as well. I mean, that was a great fucking fight. That was probably the best fight of the night, was Henley LeBron and William Foster the third, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Before we go there, you think I don't know. You think Muratalla is on that level because he's calling, right? He's saying world title, whatever. Haney's gone. I don't think Haney's coming back. So I would imagine there's going to be a lot of vacant belts. You think he's one of those guys already?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I testing it, and I mean, the fact that this kid he fought had such a good record, but just on talent, it really was kind of a mismatch. I do want to see him in a fight at a certain level. I mean, like Jesus M said, I think Jermaine Ortiz would be a great fight for him. Maybe like somebody who's like a legit contender, even like a Maxie Hughes, who pretty much beat Kambosos. I think there's a certain level that I would like to see him at. But yeah, I mean, I think he's right there, bro. But one of the good things about it is that I think there is a lot of guys, star players that have kind of left lightweight in the last couple of years. So it's going to give him an opportunity, I think, to assert himself as one of the guys pretty soon.
Yeah, man, they got going back to that gym, man. I know he hasn't named him as his trainer, but I keep seeing Ryo in the gym over in the Garcia Boxing Academy. Um, just that work's got to be unmatched. Like if these guys are even, we've seen Mikey spar, right? He says he's not coming back, but just the knowledge and talent going on right there.
Oh yeah.
I would imagine these actual fights that are taking place are easy work compared to what they're putting themselves through daily. And there's going to be a world champion coming from that gym soon.
And they're all so sharp, bro.
Yeah,
all those guys are so fucking sharp right now.
I'm really glad to see Robert Garcia getting some shine again too, because he's effective at what he does well. I think he was a part of the hype train that happens with every trainer usually, but I think he's going to fall into his own now and really start stacking up those accolades with some of these fighters he has.
Yeah, and he kind of had you say the curse, but I go back to Anthony Joshua. I think Anthony Joshua, that was the best he'd looked, right? He lost against Usyk, but shoot, it was a very close fight, and obviously he got rid of Garcia right away, but I would say that version of Joshua is kind of the best we've seen in a while. So
yeah. Oh yeah, easily the best version of Joshua, and even the best version of Joshua is not that great, but he's good enough to beat Efe Ajagba, which we could just segue right into because I think that was a perfect way to do it. What are you guys' thoughts on Efe? I know Michelle's gonna have a lot to say. She's like his number one fan, but I'll just come out and say it. I'm not huge on him, man. He looked good. He looked better this past weekend, but I mean, I think what we saw against Stephen Shaw is more the Efe what we'll be used to than what we saw this past weekend.
For me, I think he's gotten a lot better. Like, I think he's at his best right now. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Felix. To me, he's kind of, I still don't know. To me, he's kind of like a Frank Sanchez. Like, yeah, you can see the talent and you can see what they maybe could do, but to me, they're just not there yet. Like, I don't even know if I pick him over Anthony Joshua, bro. And I go hard on Joshua. It's just like, I don't know. I need to see more, I guess. But I will say, I think he's gotten a lot better, and I think he's the best version of himself currently. But there's a lot of heavyweights, man. There's like, where do we put him? Top 10? I don't know.
Well, I think the thing about him is he's taking tough fights. And not a lot of guys at heavyweight right now are taking tough fights. So you got to give him that. Taking the Frank Sanchez fight, taking the Steph Shaw fight, taking this fight with the guy that knocked Steph Shaw out. He's not taking soft touches. So I like the kind of fights that Efe is taking. He's got a really good jab. I think he hits pretty fucking hard, but he's pretty stiff. His feet aren't great. And I think Frank Sanchez completely outboxed him. So I think guys that have some movement are really going to give him a lot of problems. But he's tough, man. Like I think him and Zhilei Zhang is a fun fight. I would love to see that fight, especially since Zhang kind of comes forward and likes to, use his power. So I think he's a guy that's willing to take fights. So why not?
A big battle, right? Willing to take fights because you don't see it. But I would like, I don't know if I'm immediately going to throw him in there with the top guys, but I'd like Top Rank to clean out their heavyweight division, right? Like let those guys fight. I'm talking about, Big Baby. Let's throw Richard Torres. Like let's see who emerges from that crop of heavyweights. And then we go from there. I don't think he's ready, or I wouldn't pick him over any of the like top 5 guys, maybe not even top 10 guys right now. But like Dakota said, he's willing to fight. He's a heavyweight, so we seen what could happen in heavyweights, right? You never know. And yeah, he's a player in the game, man, and I respect it.
Efe versus Parker would be a good fight. I think part of the issue though with heavyweight right now, especially until Usyk and Fury fight, is there's a ton of talent and just not that many meaningful matchups. And I think it's like it's tough to really, there's certain divisions like this that just get log jam when the top guys don't fight. And I think welterweight kind of went through that in the last couple of years before Spence and Crawford fought. And I think it's having same kind of thing now where Fury just hasn't had like a meaningful fight in 2 years. And Usyk's awesome, but he fights once a year. So it's tough. The top of the division is like not taking that many fights.
Yeah, we've kind of said we always want an undisputed champion, but when we get it, we're like, dang, man, now the division's kind of held up. Boxing fans, you can never make us happy, right? Because,
it's doing it just so that there is a top guy that in theory everyone should be trying to get to. So you should be fighting the best available guy to move. You know what I mean? Like that's the purest argument.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, if these guys fought 4 times a year and everything would be better.
But I mean, the good thing is though, there is a lot of potential in the heavyweight division right now because there's a lot of talent. And from different regions of the world too, which I really like, because it's what makes boxing unique from any other sport is that you really are a world champion. A lot of the sports here in within the States were called world champions, but they're really only defending against people within the country. So,
and maybe Canada.
Yeah, and I mean, really. That's not like it's real stiff competition for whatever sport that is. I mean, how many world champions in other sports come out of Canada? I mean,
Toronto Raptors, bro.
Oh yeah. You're right.
I'm sure you got some hockey teams.
Well, hockey's that's like they've got the advantage. I would say Canada has the advantage over America when it comes to hockey for sure.
You shout out Bret Hart, of course.
Oh yeah. Hey, the best pro wrestlers come from Canada too. And the best horror movies are filmed in Canada. So I love Canada. But anyway, what I was saying, boxing is unique.
Boy, you got Drake.
There you go, Drake. Not the greatest, but the hottest rapper right now. He's definitely not the greatest. But boxing has all these different countries competing for that throne. And the heavyweight division right now really defines that because you have all these fighters from different places of the globe, which I think it makes for really entertaining stories for sure.
Yeah, but there's just, especially in the heavyweight, I feel like there's so much money, especially the top fights, that everybody kind of wants to preserve where they're at, right? And to me, that just stands out for Deontay, Andy Ruiz. Like everyone kind of wants to hold on to their value at what it is, and I think that's why we don't get a lot of these fights. Like guys waiting for the perfect opportunity rather than taking the opportunity that's in front of you and making that bigger. I feel like you get a lot of just holding out, waiting for that one big shot.
You do see that a lot. Especially around the places where you shouldn't see that. Like a lot of these dudes are in the Canelo sweepstakes or they're in the Fury sweepstakes or, they're just trying to do that. And in doing, it's causing them more harm than good because they're just sitting there waiting around rather than, trying to stay active. And that's where it does become a problem.
Yeah. I mean, how long has, Andy Ruiz, Deontay Wilder been rumored, right? And then it's always something bigger, right? But Deontay, a bigger fight for him would be Anthony Joshua, right? So everybody's just kind of waiting on the next guy who's waiting on the next guy.
But the funny part is that a lot of them are like, say they're about their money, but there's been a fucking bathtub full of money for Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, bro. I mean, that fight has been worth a lot of money for 6-7 years. It's probably worth the least amount that it's ever been worth. But fuck, man, if they were really about the money, they would be making these kind of fights.
Well, you would, but then for Anthony Joshua, the bigger fight would be Tyson Fury, right? Or now Francis Ngannou. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like everybody's waiting on somebody who's waiting on somebody. And if they take that chance, then maybe they lose what was ahead of them. Yeah, man, everybody's like the biggest fight for Andy Ruiz.
But you notice it's less of a problem when you have like, or I should say it's more of a problem when you have two guys at the top that it's clearly like they're the 1-2 and they haven't fought. That's when divisions get fucked up like this.
Yeah. And I think that's the belts too, because let's say there were 4 belts out there, and with no clear champion, then Deontay Wilder, Andy Ruiz for the WBC. I'm sure that happens, but like he said, there's 2 guys up there kind of holding it up, and everybody else is kind of waiting to see, I guess, how the chips fall.
Honestly, you have to put a lot of that on Fury.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with Joshua. I think he's waiting for the Fury fight, as Ray said, and a lot of it is Fury. And I think with Joshua too, just kind of going back a little bit, I feel like he's got the Deontay Wilder fight in his back pocket whenever he needs, as a get out of jail free type card. Like that's his final cash out. Like he no matter at any stage of his career, he's gonna be able to fight Deontay Wilder and make a bag.
But it loses value every day, bro. Like that was a hot fight in 2018, but right now, I mean, it's still worth a lot of money. But every day they don't make the fight, it's less important.
Well, and especially when a new player like Francis Ngannou hops in, now it's like, we don't really need you, And I'm not saying Francis Ngannou is a legit player. Like I think everything fell right for him, right? Dude probably trained the best he ever had. Fury probably didn't do anything. So I think Francis's timeline is kind of short on this too, right? Because he might lose to whatever heavyweight they try to pick, right? I don't think he's automatically one of the top guys. So, I don't know. When you try to, pick these matchups of what works, this might beat him, he beat him. Like things don't go as planned a lot of the times, right? So every day these guys are getting older. I don't know. I just hope something happens soon, right? Like
I think it'll just be another Kovalev Stevenson. It'll be another Gamboa Juan Manuel Lopez. Like, it'll just be one of those fights that they dangled over everyone's head, and then they just never pulled the trigger on it. Guys lose fights, guys get knocked out, and it loses value, and they get older.
I mean, but it is tough though, I guess. Like if Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight, it's like, how do you have that for it won't be for a belt, right? So I feel like it kind of loses a little bit there. I don't know. There's just a lot going on, and I will say that like I'm a Fury fan, but Fury top is kind of the WBC allowing him to do. I mean, when's the last time he defended, right? But him beating Deontay Wilder 2 times, 3 times, if you want to argue. I mean, I don't know. For me, he kind of cleared the division with that one fight because I think Deontay Wilder is the next best. But we won't know because none of these guys are fighting.
I want to ask Michelle. So, what happened in your mind in the Frank Sanchez fight? Because he definitely had a hard time with that movement, and I know he's had some injury problems or whatever, but that seems like a style that's always going to give him problems.
Yeah, that is true. Hey, and shout out to my boy Frank Sanchez, the longest reigning NABO heavyweight champion of all time, the most prestigious title in boxing.
I cannot believe you don't have one yet.
I know. I don't know. I was looking at him one time and then I just stopped. It'll happen.
Maybe we should arts and crafts ourselves one.
Straight cardboard and foil, baby.
I mean, bro, we could do it legit.
Is that why they allowed him in the Legends pick in Saudi for that record?
It has to be, bro. That record is legendary. Halloween is over. I don't know if you You might be new to the show, Emmanuel, but this is the ski mask is a regular thing, bro.
Welcome, though.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome to the show.
And as you can see, yeah, Halloween is over. If you guys were here last week, you saw the pumpkin on the Halloween background that we had. You missed our Halloween episode, Dakota. We had a nice little background.
I know, man.
We had a little gravestone with your name on it and everything.
Did you
just notice?
Yeah.
I just noticed you got the Christmas up already.
Is it too early? Should I take the Christmas down already?
It's pretty damn early, bro.
It's
maybe
early.
If you're trying to be seasonal, maybe get some cornucopias.
I thought about a cornucopia. I guess we'll just rock with the OF for right now.
I mean, it is goddamn early, bro.
I'll get a cornucopia up for next week's show.
Yeah,
and we'll have that vibe going. It was a time too where I was getting one for like every holiday. Then I got deep. It was like Easter. I was like, bro, this is too much now.
Fucking egg baskets.
It was an egg. I still have the graphic too. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna put it up there. You guys take over.
Hey, Dakota, what'd you think of the Cordina fight?
Hey, man, you know, that guy he fought a tough guy, this guy, Edward Vasquez. He's a tough fighter. I know, you know, he hasn't had that many big fights, but he had a good fight with Ray Ford, who I think we all think is a pretty talented prospect. You know, Cordina's he's like a really good B-plus fighter, bro. Like, he's not going to beat, you know, at 130 especially. I just think he's cutting so much weight. Like, he's not going to beat Navarrete. He's not going to beat who's some of the he might have a good fight with Valdez. There's some guys he could give problems to, but he's a really good fighter. But I just think that I don't think this is his weight, bro.
Yeah, I know. You know, he coming on. He had that highlight reel knockout, which was a crazy knockout before.
Great knockout.
Yeah, and then you know Hearn. Obviously, he's his promoter, but when he was saying like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy," right? He thinks that's the guy. If I learned anything from this fight, I was like, nah, he's not the guy there.
So, I mean, the fact that he beats Rakhimov, I think was pretty impressive. That was a really good win, and that was a really good fight. I think he'll probably beat Lee Wood because Lee Wood said he's going to move up to 130. I think them both being UK guys, that's probably what's going to come next. I don't think he would beat the top two guys, which is obviously Navarrete and Shock Foster. I just think Foster would be too smart for him, but you know what I mean?
Hey, do you like the Easter egg?
Hey, there you go. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter. Hey, let me know in the comments below. You guys, Dakota and Ray are going to keep working. I'm going to do a graphic live as we do the podcast. But should I do a turkey or a cornucopia? Let me know in the comments.
I did think I was watching the fight, but I guess not watching. I did think he won from what I saw, right? Like I was watching it, and I was like, yeah, I think his power did show. Maybe he landed the harder punches. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with the outcome, right? So yeah, he did his thing, and you got to expect, right? When you're fighting over there, you know, I didn't see really much controversy.
Well, dude, it was in Monte Carlo in front of 300 people. It was like a really weird venue kind of audience. That's the thing. It was like a world title fight. He's a pretty famous guy over there in the UK, and they do it in Monte Carlo for 300 people. I thought that was a odd choice. Shell Johnson's cornucopia. I think, I mean, the fight will happen is either going to be him and Lee Wood or him and Shock Foster, just because those are probably the easiest ones to make.
I would like to see Valdez get a shot, man. I'm a Valdez guy, so whenever there's a chance for him, like, bro, like, especially coming off that Navarrete fight, man, it'd be cool, I think, for him to get Cordina, right? And see, kind of like almost a litmus test, like to see where he's at. I thought he looked good against Navarrete. I guess he just, I think he fought the wrong fight and kind of bought into that it was going to be a war, and he went to war right off the bat, and that's going to be a tough style fight to win against Navarrete. Yeah, I wouldn't mind him and Cordina, you know.
I mean, to segue back to a fight we were talking about earlier, I think Henley LeBron would be a really nice opponent to see Cordina against, because I think LeBron, I mean, BoxRec already has him at 9. I think he's the sharpest boxer in the division, maybe other than Foster. He's a sharp guy, man. He's going to be tough to beat. And he's in kind of exciting fights. He's like Lara, where when it comes to, you know, time to slug, he will slug. Gotta respect Valdez hard and fights tough competition. He always does, man. That's the thing about Valdez. He's another one of those guys that makes the fights.
The thing I love about Oscar too is just that he's gonna fight anybody. I used to always think he was like, you know, A level. I'm kind of curious now, you know, based after the Navarrete fight, if maybe he's not exactly a level elite guy, but maybe a B+ player in the game. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say he's an A guy just because of the way Shakur did him, bro.
Yeah.
And that's probably not fair to him, because Shakur probably does that too.
Listen, bro, look at what Mayweather did to Marquez. It doesn't mean Marquez. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, yeah, that's what I'm with you. I'm just saying, like, my eyes where I saw like him kind of outclassed, I'm like, dang, bro, that you're not that level.
Oscar's only lost though to legends of his era.
Yeah, man, and then I feel like he buys in. He kind of gives the fans what they want, and it might be to his downfall, right? Like him fighting Shakur, because that's what everybody was calling for, so he's gonna do it. Even against Navarrete, the way he fought him, right? Everybody was like, "Yo, this is gonna be Barrera Morales," and I think he bought into like, okay, I gotta give him Barrera Morales. And yeah, maybe not always the best. Maybe it doesn't always work out for him what we want, but he gives us what we want. And I feel like he has his whole career. So yeah, he said, gotta respect Valdez 100%, man. That's one of my that's one of my favorite fighters.
Without a doubt. And he never stops. The thing I like too is a lot of dudes, you can tell, you know, late in the fight, their power is faded, or they're not going to even try to show the, you know, throw those power shots. But Oscar, man, to the final bell, he's going to throw with everything he's got, whether he's got a broken jaw or whether he's down on, you know, all the cards. He's in there to the end, and you got to respect that, man. And of course, he's from out here, so you know, much love for Oscar. He's one of my guys too.
Let's bring that last comment up, man, because it's always good to touch on a Floyd topic. That's one fight, bro, where he had I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had the catch weight, and Floyd just blew that, right?
Correct.
Yep.
And paid the fine.
And we never to this day know how much Floyd came in overweight, because they refused to make that information public.
2 pounds.
Oh, it's 2 pounds?
No, I think Felix is talking fight night, or you're talking about?
Yeah, it was fight night. Fight night, they refused. He didn't. It was
private. But I mean, Floyd doesn't really blow up. I think when you have a catch weight, obviously the hard part is losing those 1 or 2 extra pounds, and that's what he kind of completely bypassed when fighting the smaller Marquez. I mean, I think Floyd's better than Marquez 7 days a week, but you know that did happen, right? Like Floyd did have the catch weight, and Floyd completely blew the weight.
It was like 144, right?
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
There just also gets to be a certain amount of size, like natural size difference, that is, I think, insurmountable, especially with somebody that talented. You know what I mean? Like, there was no way that a guy that had never fought at that remotely close to that weight was ever going to have a chance, even if it was the best lightweight ever. You know, they weren't going to beat a welterweight Floyd.
But where did he fight Pacquiao at, though? 140?
No, welterweight.
Marquez? No, I'm talking about Marquez.
Oh, I mean, the first one was feather, probably.
Yeah.
And then they fought a couple at 130, 135, and then they were The last one was probably at 140, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think the last one was at 140.
But one man, Will Marquez, has been a hater. He is a hater, so I'm not mad. I'm not mad that Floyd put it on him.
Yeah, that boy is definitely a hater. He's
Him
not
and
a big fan
Nacho.
of Canelo.
And he did have one of the probably, I would say, memorable, but for a bad reason, right? Remember the Floyd 24/7 where he was drinking the urine?
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's a whole nother rabbit hole that I go down too, because I still to this day will say that Marquez was on that juice when he stopped Pacquiao, because there's just no way after three fights.
100%, bro. 100%.
Yeah, there's no
But
way.
I'm not saying that Pacquiao wasn't on it. So to me, it's kind of like a wash.
Yeah, right. I mean, that dude. I mean, 3 fights, he never hurt him. Then all of a sudden, you're dropping him and putting him
Bro,
out.
his whole body changed, right? He came in jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I remember him saying, or them even showing on 24/7, him working on that right hand, which was there. I mean, you still got to pull it off, right? Even if you're whatever, you still got to be able to do it. But yeah, to me, that was one of the cases where you look at it and you're like, yeah, that guy's on something.
Right. Interesting story. And I just look at his character, man. Like, the dude is drinking his piss, which means he's willing to do whatever it takes to get even the slightest advantage over his opponent. What makes you think that if somebody told him that, I got some stuff that's going to be undetected and it'll guarantee you victory over Pacquiao finally after 3 other fights, this 4th one is going to be it, bro. I'm telling you. Come on.
Yeah, they were probably telling him like, yo, Pacquiao's on it too, man. Just make it an even playing field. That's just me. Dakota, call it. Is steroid user or no?
Which one?
Marquez. In the Pacquiao fight, the knockout.
It's that one's so uncomfortable because he truly is one of my favorite fighters, but I think it's really possible, man. Like, he just got so big so quick, and like he also developed a certain amount of back knee after a while that was hard to miss.
Yeah, I forgot about the back knee.
He was getting back knee, bro.
It was pretty bad.
That's usually the telltale.
That created an all-time great moment, though, man. Like, I remember where I was. Like, I remember how I reacted when he landed that punch on Pacquiao. Pacquiao closing in on him to get him out of there, and Marquez just landed one of the most perfect right hands probably in the history of the sport, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was so perfect.
It was bad. It was a vicious knockout for sure, man.
I do think Marquez. I think Marquez just, he didn't have his Barrera Morales, right? And probably in his mind, I'm just guessing, but in his mind, he probably thinks he's the best Mexican fighter ever. But to me, I don't feel like he gets the love that Barrera gets, that Morales gets, that Canelo gets. He's kind of left out, and I really feel like, he acts out on it, and that's why he's a hater. But I understand why he's hating, but I do think he hates a lot.
He does. He definitely does. What is it that he says about Canelo? He just says he's not as good as Chavez or something, right?
No, I don't know. I just know him and Nacho, or even Nacho, he doesn't consider Canelo one of the best or whatever. It's like, bro, how can you not? Like, that's just hate right there, right? Like, you can say it's getting tough to even say that someone is better. Maybe you could say they don't beat someone in a mythical matchup, but just Canelo's accolades and accomplishments, like, it's getting pretty tough to just not say, yo, he's the clear-cut best fighter from Mexico ever.
Right. I think we'd have to compare opponents, but I would definitely rock with Canelo on that side because I think he's probably fought a better caliber of top-notch competition than Chavez did.
Yeah, I mean, and Chavez, they'll always go to the 89-0, and Chavez maybe culturally, bigger, whatever. But I'm talking about, like, if you just on paper, here's his accomplishments, here's his. It's like it's starting to become not even a competition,
Oh yeah, and Canelo's not done yet too, which is astonishing.
Man, what do y'all think about that? Is him and Munguia, you think that's for real?
Sure.
I can't.
I think this is kind of the fight that maybe Munguia's team is waiting for. Is he still has the big name of Canelo, but it's like one notch less of a threat where maybe they feel like they can win it now. I don't know if they can.
Yeah,
but I like that fight.
I mean, I think it'll be an entertaining fight.
Hell yeah.
I just I guess maybe I always look at the business like, is this really gonna happen? And I just can't see Canelo signing a 3-fight deal with PBC and then fight a non-PBC fighter. You know, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm like, nah, like I gotta see something. Like they might be using that as leverage or negotiating, but I just can't see PBC allowing that, right? Like we got you for 3 fights, bro. At least
be if the winner of Benavidez and Andrade would kind of fall under that PBC umbrella. You know what I mean? And that seems like kind of the logical next fight, you would think.
Yeah, and that's where I see I keep saying, oh, Munguia in May and Benavidez in September. I think I can't even remember where I heard it, but that Floyd told someone, no, he's fighting Benavidez in September. And I think this might have been where it all started, that now they're trying to find a May opponent. I hope not, bro. That fight, whenever of Andre Benavidez, make that happen in May. It's not like that soon. Like that's half a year away. But I just don't see Munguia being the fight. I don't see it happening.
I don't either. I just don't. No other in-depth reasoning. I just don't see it being Munguia.
I would like to see Munguia, Berlanga, both with the zone, both on there. To me, that makes more sense than, you know. Because then they probably have to work that out, right? I'm sure Munguia has some ties to the zone. And it's like, why are they going to go? What's that?
Golden Boy.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. It just seems like too many hurdles to jump for Canelo Munguia.
In Oscar's defense, he does seem willing to let his fighters go to other networks.
Yeah, he does. I feel like Oscar is trying to help the situation with the sport and making fights, but he doesn't have a lot of talent.
I don't know, man. You see Virgil Ortiz's next opponent?
Well, we've talked about that, man. Throw the guy a bone, bro.
You gotta be careful with him, bro.
He's fragile.
They gotta be careful with him. They don't know what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know. I hope he fight. When's that fight scheduled? Do you remember?
Nah. It's not for a little bit.
It's not in December?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay. If it's in December, then I hope he fights in February because he's going to get that guy out of there in 2 rounds, bro.
Listen, it's a very serious condition he had. He was in the hospital 3 times for it. I'm telling you, they really don't know what they have.
Yeah, it could be damaged goods.
I'm just saying, bro.
Hey, by the way, I don't know if y'all noticed, but the cornucopia is up.
I noticed your cornucopia.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
For pushing that.
I don't know, man. I feel like he does need that build up fight again. I feel like it's the right opponent. I mean, they could have got a bunch of different guys out there, tomato cans. I feel like he needs that kind of fight, though. And I think you're right, Dakota. They don't really know, what's left of him. We're not going to find out until he gets in that ring.
Yeah, I guess you got to make sure he's able to get in the ring, right? He hasn't made it the past few fights. No, I'm not joking. I'm like saying, like for real. Like,
nah, you're right, bro.
Yeah, no. So he says we got what's this comment we got? Oh, we're going with the Mexican fighters.
Canelo has 1 clear signature win. Triple G 2 coming after Triple G 1 controversy and Clenbuterol suspension. After that, Laura, he's no Salvador Sanchez, Barreto, Chavez, or even Finito Lopez.
I mean,
I read that for the hey, shout out to real quick. I just want to shout.
There's Caleb Plant. I mean, you really want to? You want me to go down box rec for you? I mean, there's plenty of guys, man.
I just saw a list. I saw a list today. BoxRec. So BoxRec's non-biased, right? They have their own formulas or whatever for the rankings.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works exactly, but yeah, I saw they had a all-time 168 pounds, and they had Canelo #1. They had Canelo 1, I believe Calzaghe 2, and Andre Ward 3. Like I said, I don't know. I think that's all formula based, but just throwing that out there, like Canelo's accomplishments, like are those guys better fighters than them? Did they mean more to the Mexican people? Maybe, but you know what he's done is many different weight classes, continues to go like back and forth. Right? You can't. I mean, you cannot like him. You can make an argument, but at the end of the day, what he's done is right there on paper, and I got to give it to him.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. What else was this past weekend? I think we covered most of all the fights. There's not many other fights to look back on. It was a slow weekend.
It was a slow weekend. It was a slow weekend. It's a pretty slow weekend this coming weekend. But
this past weekend, Dakota, I want to give her some shine. I don't know all about women's boxing, but I know she lost and then got revenge this weekend. You know her name?
Ramala Ali.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So
yeah, we actually did an interview. I did an interview with her previous opponent, Avril Matthew, also a pretty talented fighter. But yeah, Ramala got a revenge. I always think that's impressive, like the way Eubank did with Liam Smith, where when you get stopped and then you're able to come back and win that fight. That's kind of the most impressive rematch to me. So I think she's kind of an Amir Khan type, but she's shown that she's got like the grit to win a rematch like that.
Yeah, because even when you think you're the better fighter and you rematch just off that, it doesn't always turn out that way, right? Like we just saw with Zhang and Joyce.
Yep.
Like man, it really takes mentally you got to be able to just wash that from your mind and still get in there and have the fight. Yeah, so she did stand out. I'm not the biggest women's boxing guy, but I did catch that. I want to give a shout out to her, for doing that, like you said.
Well, speaking of not being a big women's boxing guy, I think that was as good of a time as ever to transition real quick. Episode 2 of The Fight Life with Shadasia Green came out this week. It's on OFTV. The full documentary, the short version, is on our YouTube page. There's also another short version that's on our Instagram page. Shadasia is going to be fighting for the WBC title on December 15th against Franchon Cruz Dezern. So it's super exciting. It was cool kind of being in the gym as all of that unfolded. But go check that out, everybody.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's a great episode. One of my favorite episodes.
You see the hunger that she has, right? And that anticipation that is so close. And she even talked about like being hungry, but knowing that you're gonna eat. Like you just gotta wait. It's coming. So yeah, it might suck right now, but that meal's gonna be good. And yeah, it's been excited. Access that you've provided for us to be able to see that mind frame where they're at. That gym, is it always like that, Dakota? It seemed small, just her kind of working. Is that their normal, I guess, atmosphere that they train in?
So they have sparring days like any gym where there's more guys that come in and rotate in and out, and people from other gyms come. But, there's 2 guys in the dock, a middleweight who's a pretty high-ranked middleweight named Ian Green, and a guy named Tank. I don't know anything else about his name, but a guy named Tank who spars with seemingly all of the best fighters in the New York, New Jersey area, but has no pro fights. There's a couple of reasons for that. But it's a small team, man. One of the things that I've always noticed about that gym, though, is it's always pretty upbeat, man. Like it's not on some tough guy shit. Everyone's always in a pretty good mood, and it seems like it's kind of like the fun gym in a sense. You know what I mean? Like they're all kind of enjoying their work, and I think they all see that she's so close. And the thing that was cool about it was like, you know, when I first went, it was, you know, it was shot over the course of a couple of months. So when I first went, it was in early September when she had no idea what was next. None. So she wanted to fight Savannah Marshall. She's ranked #1, but Savannah's hurt. She's coming back in next year in the spring or whatever. So she has no idea what the next fight is. And you could tell that it was like really getting to her because it's been, you know, she's been mandatory now for 10, 11 months and just hasn't been able to get Franchon, hasn't been able to get Savannah. But now she has the fight with Franchon, and it's a huge opportunity. And it kind of leverages her to be able to fight for Undisputed if she has a belt.
Yeah, and you know, and she fights on you know, big platforms, right? Like Jake Paul's kind of giving her access. Maybe it's not like, oh, everybody who watches Jake Paul's gonna watch her, but you know, some of that does feed over, and she's on a big platform. And you know, her last fight, like it went to decision, but just you saw like, wow, like she's hitting her with everything. And you know, I feel like she took advantage of that, and you know, it's awesome just to see it carry over. The, you know, the doc that you produced, you really get a feeling, you know, you, like you said, you see it right in real time, kind of, you know, how she's feeling, then you know how she feels, and it's just so close. She's just on the cusp of, you know, kind of being the main woman in the sport. And you know, we're along for that journey, man. And yeah, thanks for producing that. And yo, whoever's watching, check that out for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, it was one of my favorite episodes, man. It's good, and then you can see the two dudes in their gym. Tank is entertaining as hell. I wanna learn more about him too. But man, yeah, good episode for sure. One of my favorite episodes of the Fight Life. We're closing a year strong, with some really banging episodes, man. So keep on staying tuned. Next month, be dropping another one. I'm not even going to say who yet, because you know, right now it's Shadasia's release time, so we're going to live in that moment. And then next month, when it's time to push the next one, you already know we're going to hit you with some heat for sure.
When is her fight again?
So that fight is December 15th. It got announced on the Serrano undercard.
So that is the Jake Paul card, right? He's on it. Okay. Yeah, and I don't think he has an opponent yet. I don't know what's going on, but shoot, that's gonna be in December. Yeah, she's gonna have a lot of eyes on her, man, and I'm just happy for her. I don't know her like you know her, but just, you know, kind of seeing her come along, and yeah, she says she's ready to eat. She says she's ready to eat her favorite meals, and you know, I'm sure it's so close, man. I just hope we get there.
And she's the fucking like real deal of it as far as talent, and she's kind of doing everything the right way. And it's been frustrating for her that things don't move a little faster when you do shit the right way. You know what I mean? Like, she's been ranked #1. They put these fighters in front of her. She beats the shit out of them, and then whoever's champion doesn't fight her. And now she's kind of getting that opportunity to fight for a vacant belt, even if it's not for Undisputed. You know, like she said, it's one step closer. It's one piece of the pie, you know, to becoming that.
And it's crazy because I feel like women's boxing is different in that, you know, you don't necessarily need to fight everybody in your division. You see people jumping division to division to make the bigger fights, right? So you could be the #1 contender, and meanwhile everyone's, oh, they're going up to this weight class to fight that. So yeah, definitely a long road, long journey, and yeah, I'm waiting to see, you know, see it continue.
And by the way, shout out to Franchon Cruz Dezern for, if I had to guess, being the only woman that will have now fought Savannah Marshall, Claressa Shields, and Shadasia Green. I mean, that in and of itself kind of shows like she is one of those fighters that takes the fights.
Oh yeah, that's dope. I remember the interview you did with her too. That was entertaining.
And look, at the time, she wasn't looking to fight Shadasia, and there was more benefits to fighting Savannah Marshall. That was a bigger name. There was probably more money in that. It was just frustrating on Deja's side that it was like, look, I am ranked number 1, so why are you allowed to fight this girl who's never fought in this weight class before? You know what I mean? Even if it was a big fight. And ultimately, Savannah's like a great fighter and beat Franchon. So there's a new champ.
Facts. What else do we have for tonight, fellas?
I think that's what we got, bro. It was a slow week. And honestly, everybody's been great with the fucking comments tonight, keeping us moving.
It's going to be a slower week, man. I looked at that schedule and
it's definitely slow.
This would be a good week to go support your local shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Next week we got Shakur De Los Santos. I'm getting more excited for that one as we get closer.
Listen, bro, fuck with De Los Santos. We're going to do a whole episode about it next week, but I like De Los Santos a lot, man. He's good.
Yeah, you know, I've always said I picked Shakur because I don't know how you beat Shakur. I think we're gonna see I think De Los Santos will show if there's a way to beat Shakur because he's so heavy-handed, so much power. I would think Shakur. I don't even know, actually. Is Shakur going to get hit? I don't know. That sucker's might be that good. But if he gets hit, we're going to maybe see something that we haven't seen. So I'm getting more excited for that one. And next week, you know, we'll get into that. I think that'll be the main topic of the week.
Backyard Profits is the Baumgartner non-suspension soured me on women's boxing. I don't trust it. Well, listen, bro, there's a lot of that going on in men's boxing. So I think maybe boxing isn't so trustworthy sometimes.
Man, but hold up. What, did I miss that? Nothing happened? I know she failed the test post-fight. Nothing. Did they just wipe it clean or what?
There's been no formal action taken. She's just not fighting.
She's just on a break. She's on a vacation.
So, I mean, I understand that it's frustrating. I, off the top of my head, Valdez tested positive for some shit and was able to fight the next day. So I get what you're saying, but I don't know that that's a women's boxing thing. I think that's happening plenty in men's boxing. And particularly if you look at some of these fights happening in certain kinds of places where they're not doing any drug testing.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, you got Keyshawn getting suspended for, you know, what, THC.
That's what you get for fighting in Texas, bro. I don't think anybody should be fighting in Texas.
Yeah, I just know there Keyshawn, that's on you because you knew going into it.
Yes.
Like, if you know the rules, you got to follow the rules, whether you think they're dumb or not. But you know, for them, you know, we don't. It's kind of funny we don't hear anything about Baumgartner, but shoot, Texas was quick to say Keyshawn suspended 90 days. No fights.
And it was reversed to a no contest.
Yeah.
You know, that
doesn't went hard on him.
As far as I know, I don't know if any of Alicia's fights have been reversed.
Nope.
Yeah. That was crazy, right? Because I feel like even the way they put that out there, like they didn't announce what it was for right away. And I feel like that's not fair, right? Because when a boxer tests positive for something, everyone kind of always, they go to, oh, steroids, tested dirty. Like if you're going to put that information out, like put what it was for right away. I feel like that changes the whole narrative, and that isn't really fair to Keyshawn,
right?
In that instance.
And hey, shout out to Keyshawn too. I think he gave one hell of a response on social media. I'm not going to pull it up and quote it, but basically said like, look, I'm a person. I do stuff outside of the gym. My mistake. I didn't time everything right. Just know I'm not going to stop smoking weed, but I'm going to do better about timing it during my training camp next time.
And why should he? And why should he?
And I feel like that was a great answer. And I feel like he also kind of attacked the commission a little bit and say, you know, it's weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the accountability does go on him for not being on top of the protocols, but weed also stays in your system for 30 days. So we can't sit here and be mad at him if he smoked a joint 4 weeks, 20 days out from a fight. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I did see, I guess that would be like, when did it happen, right? Did he try to and it just stayed in his system?
But
or like,
if he smoked 28 days out, he's going to test positive.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, is that what happened, or was he like smoking right before? Because then people were saying like, oh, that helps with the pain, whatever. It's on him, right? Like, you know the rules going into it. You know where you're fighting, right? But I was gonna ask y'all, do you think some of the maybe hostility from Tim Bradley this past weekend came? Because he seemed everyone kind of out that he was kind of going hard at Keyshawn. And I thought, maybe, I don't know.
I heard real passion in Tim Bradley's voice during that rant. Like, there was true passion in that rant. It wasn't just like, and especially because he's been so high on Keyshawn, for him to just go so hard on him and as like passionately as he did, like he was definitely upset about this situation. You can tell. It was to the point where even Joe Tessitore or Mark Kriegel, one of the two, was even kind of redirecting him. Okay, well, let's focus back on the action in the ring. And Bradley just went off the rails, man. It was pretty interesting. I mean, and if you guys missed it, he was basically just saying, Muratalla is going to be the guy that will beat Keyshawn Davis. And then at one point, Mark Kriegel said Keyshawn's inexperience. Tim Bradley fired back immediately. He was like, he's the one that wants to be tested. Let him do it.
I mean, I kind of agree with them, bro, where it's like he's getting ready to Jose Pedraza. So that's a top 10 fucking 140 pounder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not mad at it. But I do think it's a little weird for him to be like, oh, Muratalla is gonna beat Keyshawn. It's like, bro, why would you say like Muratalla is gonna beat Shakur? Like, if they're the champ, it's like, why are you picking? I don't see you gotta beat for the prospect.
I don't see any reason to frame it that way. To say, oh, I love seeing that fight and I would favor Muratalla is a different way of saying it than this is the guy that beats him. You know what I mean? Like, he framed it, like, made it kind of feel like he was singling Keyshawn out a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, bro, hold on. Keyshawn and Muratalla are probably in the same position, right? Like, Muratalla might be further along, actually.
He is.
For him to be like, yo, he's going to be the one that beats Keyshawn. It's like, bro, well, Keyshawn really doesn't have anything right now. So I thought that was a little weird. That's why I was wondering if, I don't know, maybe he's real passionate about, I don't know. Maybe his style outside of his lifestyle outside of the ring. Maybe, maybe Tim Bradley's so high on him and, felt a little let down that.
That'd be pretty fucking old school, though, to talk down to somebody about some weed, bro.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah. That's what would make sense to me of why he was going so hard on him, right? Like,
right. I would hope, I don't, that would be, I wouldn't agree with that assessment.
No, and I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, yo, well, why is this dude so mad? Why is this dude picking Muratalla to be the one to beat Keyshawn? Like, there's got to be something.
Muratalla is awesome, too. I think he was also just really excited about Muratalla, but it just came off weird.
It's like you said, the way he framed it, he could have said, oh, man, him and Keyshawn would be a banger of a fight. No, he just straight said, and he pointed it out immediately. I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off and piss off a person. Like, he knew what he was doing. That was a targeted attack on Keyshawn Davis.
He could have said Muratalla is the best prospect at 135, and that includes Keyshawn, right? Like, to me, I'd be like, okay, but yo, for him, he's gonna be the one that beats him. No, they're even gonna fight. They're both prospects right now. That might have been the
WTF moment of the week right there.
Like, where'd that come from?
There you go. Congratulations, Tim Bradley. You win the what the fuck moment of the week. With this a segment we forgot to we forget to do this every week. We've done like 3 of them, but I think we're all in agreement that Tim Bradley wins this week for sure.
Easily.
So the Lindolfo weekend.
Bradley, as you know, Felix, he kind of gets in that media scrum. I would like someone to push that. Like, I would like some type of explanation of what he was thinking while that went on. Because I'm not saying he's wrong, right? I just want to know, like, why were you so passionate about him and Keyshawn?
Right. He was almost Jim Lampley, Miguel Cotto level. Like he was in that kind of emotional status at that rant. And if you guys know Jim Lampley, whenever he talked about Miguel Cotto, any true boxing fan knows exactly what I'm talking about. But that's it, fellas. I think
You're
that's
gonna make Lampley cry somewhere out there, bro.
Hey, I saw that video with him and Gotti. He's still crying about it too.
And
Like
hopefully, between tears, Jim, if you're watching, you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Great show, fellas.
Yeah, great show.
Episode 2 of the Fight Life, Shadasia Green. Go peep OFTV.
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
hit like if you're still around. Hit like. We appreciate all the comments, everything. Yeah, enjoy y'all every week.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.